gonna go with an earthquake right here. He's actually gonna kind of evade our earthquake right there by going with like a smart set of skeletons. But we're gonna get the king activation right there. Yo, what's going on guys, Ian77 here. In today's video I'm going to be showing you guys the best hog deck inside of Clash Royale after the balance changes. Alright, so hopping in the first match here, we're going to be up against this guy, and in today's video we're going to be running hog with giant skeleton. I feel like this deck has really become really good in the meta ever since the balance changes. I feel like giant skeleton has really risen to fame, and it's a pretty free to play friendly deck as well. It doesn't have any champions in it or really any card that's like too difficult to level up, so yeah, I feel like it should suit a lot of you guys quite well. And by the way guys, I do want to mention that in today's video we are gonna actually have a special tip just like randomly at some point in the video. I think I'm gonna start adding like pro tips in each video, just like at like a random spot in the video, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And yeah, let me know in the comments like how you guys like this kind of new format that I'm going to be trying here. And it looks like in the first match we're going to be up against a Golem deck, so should be pretty interesting right here. He's probably going to get quite a bit of damage off of like the Golem kind of just exploding on our tower. But the one nice thing is that the giant skeleton death bomb is just like so good against Golem pushes. Like it pretty much will fully kill all of the units that they can play behind their Golem, so I feel like giant skeleton should do pretty good against that. And cannon should be able to DPS down the golems pretty well, and he can lightning our cannons, but we can also like cycle two of them sometimes. So I think as we progress in this game we should be able to start defending his pushes pretty well, but we do have to kind of make sure we get good damage ourselves. And I'm actually with kind of a high giant skeleton right here just to make sure that we don't really allow him to like build up a huge push right now. Just gonna go with a musk behind it as well, and honestly perfect timing on that musk. I don't think he would have played his night witch so high if he knew that I was going to play a musk right there. So giant skeleton is still going to be alive right here. I'm just going to combo with the hog rider. Looks like he'll go with the mini P.E.K.K.A, but all in all, not too bad. He defended like pretty much perfectly, but he also wasted quite a few of his best answers, so maybe in our next push we can get some damage on his tower. So I'm not really too worried about defense here in this match. I kind of just want to focus on offense, so just gonna go with the giant skeleton at the bridge right here. I actually went like the giant skeleton at the perfect time. I like knew he would go with the golem like any second right there, so yeah, managed to get it at the perfect time right there. And honestly a super good snowball right there, pushing the bomber out of the giant skeleton sight range. And looks like that probably will be tower right there, and he's just gonna kind of stack air units at this point, but I think our musketeer should be able to finish them off pretty well right here. Okay, so he does go with the NATO, so he does end up killing our musketeer, and baby dragon is getting quite a bit of damage on our tower, but the tower is targeting the mega minion right now, and he's kind of just spamming us. I don't really think he's going to have enough elixir for lightning right away, so yeah, I don't really see any way that he's going to break through. And I feel like this deck is just so nice to kill all of these golem pushes super easily, and I know a lot of you guys will probably struggle with decks like golem, so I feel like this deck should be really good for you guys, and that will be good game. Alright, hopping in the next match here, we're going to be up against a noob, apparently. Alright, so yeah, just going to start off with the hog rider here. This deck is a little bit more heavy than the normal hog cycle decks, but it's pretty much always fine to go with the hog first play. And by the way guys, I do want to mention that ever since the log nerf, I think Snowball is probably better in most hog rider decks. The only really real issue with playing Snowball is that it does make it kind of difficult against decks like Goblin Drill and like log bait sometimes, so those are really the only things you have to watch out for. But I know like almost nobody really uses Goblin Drill, probably like in the trophy ranges where most of you guys are, so I don't really think you even have to worry about that, like especially in mid ladder where probably most of my viewers are in. I don't think pretty much anyone plays Goblin Drill, so I feel like Snowball is actually going to be super helpful for you guys. Like it's really good against balloon decks especially, and like it can kind of like really just help your hog rider get a lot more hits on their towers. Like if they go with like a mini P.E.K.K.A on your hog rider, you can actually just go with like a snowball on it, and it will allow your hog to get like 2 shots usually. And yeah, that's kind of an awkward EQ right there. I had to actually EQ this guy's fire spirit. Didn't want to take like a whole fireball worth of damage, and I'm pretty sure he's playing E-Giant at this point. No other deck really runs Goblin Cage plus Fire Spirit. Like, if it was a Golem deck, it certainly wouldn't have the Fire Spirit. So, looks like it will be E-Giant right here. We probably are going to be down quite a few elixir, maybe even like up to like 5 elixir or so. So, it could be a little bit hard to defend, but the reason I really like Cannon in this deck over like really like any other buildings, just because I feel like the cannon just like so cheap, and it just really gets the job done very nicely. Like it's just meant to be like a cheap building that puts out like good DPS, and I feel like it really does that job very well. And he's actually gonna go with a NATO right there, so he's gonna get a little bit of a Golden Knight charge on our tower, but honestly pretty well defended there by us, considering we're down quite a few elixir. And yeah, so you can see like Snowball being kind of useful right here. We're gonna hit his Goblin Baller with the Snowball, so it's gonna allow our Hawk to get one shot on his tower when it shouldn't have even gotten any shots if we hadn't gone with the Snowball right there. So you can see like Snowball is quite useful sometimes, and sometimes you can do the same thing with Log against those types of units, but it doesn't work quite as well as Snowball does. So I feel like Snowball can be really nice. And yeah, and the pro tip will also be related to Snowball, which is going to come sometime randomly in this video, so you guys should definitely stay tuned for that. And he just got a really good Golden Knight dash there, but our Hog is just getting so much damage in the right lane, and pretty much took his tower already at this point. I guess he wasn't really paying attention and didn't realize that he was already losing his tower. He was just so focused on just spamming us, as E-Giant players tend to do. And yeah, just gonna go with another Snowball in his Goblin Cage Brawler. Yeah, it will allow our Hawk to get one shot in his tower, so you can see like it really allows your Hawk to just like sneak in all of those extra hits when you have Snowball in the deck. So even though it doesn't do quite as much damage to units, it still does have like a really good purpose. And yeah, I don't think he has any way to stop our Hog, so that will be a good game. Alright, quick interruption here for the pro tip. So if you're playing a Hog Rider deck and you have Giant Snowball, and you know your opponent will go with a Fisherman, you can actually Snowball it to the opposite lane, not allowing them to activate your King Tower and getting massive damage. Alright, hopping in the next match here, we're going to be up against Lucas X Gamer. So one of the best players in the world right now, probably like the second best player in the world after Mohamed Light. So should be an interesting match right here. Not sure what he's going to be playing, but it looks like he does have Golden Knight and Snowball, so it could really be quite a few things. It could be like a Goblin Drill deck or something like that. I'm just going to go with Skeletons here at the very last second, and perfectly timed Skeletons right there. It's really important to always go with the Skeletons to distract the Golden Knights at the very last second, because if you go with it too early, they're just going to wait for the Golden Knight to just like chop them normally, and then just use the ability right after that. So yeah, very good play right there by us. And he does have Zappies as well, so not really too sure what he's playing right here. Looks like he does have a Mortar deck, which is kind of strange. Not really sure why he has all those interesting cards paired with his Mortar deck, but I guess he might be running like Graveyard or something. Could be like Miner or Goblin Drill still, I guess. But okay, looks like it is going to be a Goblin Drill right here, so not really too sure how I feel about this matchup. It is obviously like a little bit harder to deal with the Goblin Drills, as I said, since you don't have any like Valkyrie in this deck, or you don't have like any Log in this deck. It is a little bit hard to kill those drills, but the nice thing you do have is that you do always have Fire Spirit, which can always one-shot goblins, and you do have Giant Skeleton, which is also pretty decent at countering Goblin Drill as well. And looks like our Hog is just gonna get so many hits right there. Like the really nice thing about Giant Skeleton is that just like such a fat tank, so you can really just like use all that HP super well just to like tank absolutely everything. And it's going to Snowball this Golden Knight as well. Made sure to kill it like just in time before the ability actually ended up connecting on our tower. So yeah, really good start to this game. Just going to cycle in EQ on his tower. He's going to go with that offensive Mortar, but I think Cannon should deal with that pretty well here. He does kind of protect it with the Cannon cart, but to be honest, not really the best Cannon cart by him, because it wasted like 5 elixir on 3, so didn't really get too much value. You can see like this deck is really good at making positive elixir trades as well, but it's also super nice against beat down decks too, by just like defending those big pushes really easily with like the Giant Skeletons and stuff like that. So you can see like you're kind of set at making like positive elixir trades to like beat cycle decks, but you're also like kind of set against the more heavy decks as well with like the Giant Skeleton especially. So he's actually gonna kind of mess up the Hog versus Snowball timing right there. He went with the Snowball like a second late right there, so Hog did end up getting one shot on his tower. And at this point we really just need to like cycle a few more EQs, and that should be hopefully a good game here soon. And while Mortar actually didn't even one shot, that Musketeer actually survived with like 1 HP. So he does actually have Mother Witch in his deck, which is kind of strange. Not really too sure why he's running it, but I guess it did get buffed, so it's probably pretty good right now. You can see like how much damage the Giant Skeletons are doing. Like I feel like they've been buffed like so many times recently. Like I can't even remember how many buffs the giant skeleton has gotten recently, but looks like it will lock on his tower right there, and that will be a good game. Alright, hopping in the next game, we're going to be up against this guy, and we do have Hog in our starting hand here, once again, so always going to be ideal to start with a Hog. And you do have to be a little bit careful with what you cycle when you're playing this deck, just because it is a little bit heavier than the typical Hog cycle decks, just having Giant Skeleton in there, so you do kind of want to be a little bit more safe, but it is usually pretty fine to like cycle a Hog first player like Fire Spirit. Skeletons are like one of your spells. It's usually a pretty good starting play, but you kind of want to keep your Musketeer and Giant Skeleton. And by the way, guys, I know like most of you guys are probably used to seeing these Hog decks run Archer Queen over Musketeer, but to be honest, I kind of like Musketeer a little bit better in this certain Hog deck right here, just because I feel like it's really nice to be able to have multiple Musketeers on the field at once, whereas when you're playing a champion like Queen, you can only have one on the field at a time, so it does make it a little bit more difficult against like certain beatdown decks especially. So yeah, I do really like Musk in this deck, and it's really good at like sniping high buildings. Like sometimes when they try to defend your giant skeleton Hog pushes, they kind of want to like avoid your earthquake hitting their building and their tower, so they will often go with like high buildings, and Musketeer just does a really good job of picking them off. So really do like Musketeer in this deck, and I feel like it synergizes pretty well with this Snowball to like have a good counter to like balloon decks and stuff like that. So yeah, like obviously Snowballs also like has quite a few benefits over Log, like such as against balloon decks it just like dominates them. So yeah, really satisfying to like finally have a nice matchup against balloon decks. And you can really find a lot of usage out of Snowball, like as you saw in the pro tip. You can actually kind of snowball like fishermen's and stuff like that, like out of range from pulling your Hog Rider. So there's really like so many use cases for Snowball if you learn to master, and it is honestly a pretty hard card to master. Like Snowball is a lot more of a higher skill card than most people would probably think, just because there's like so many different placements that you can do that will really make or break the card for you, I guess, like whether you're actually going to get value out of it or not. And really good set of skeletons right there by us evading his zap, and actually with the Snowball and his P.E.K.K.A right here is going to allow our Hog to get one shot right there. So if we hadn't gone with this Snowball, our Hog probably would have got fully countered there because he went with like a pretty quick P.E.K.K.A. So really good by us right there to do that. And I'm just going to go with the high cannon as well, and honestly really good cannon right there. We're playing super well right here. Purposely went with the cannon super high just because I knew he might try to go with the fireball and everything, and it and yeah, pretty much just allowed us to defend super easy right there. Didn't even expect this game to be so easy, but you can see like, you still are going to have like no trouble against these P.E.K.K.A decks, even when you're running Giant Skeleton, which isn't the best against P.E.K.K.A. You can still defend really easily and pick up like some nice wins. Alright, hopping in the next match here, we're going to be up against this guy, and once again we are going to be blessed with a Hog in our starting hand, so just going to go with it right here. It looks like we are going to be up against a mortar deck once again, so you know, mortar is always usually going to be, or is almost always going to be like a pretty decent matchup, because you obviously do have the earthquake, which is pretty nice against mortar, and they can always defensive mortar, but if they defensive mortar and you play like a EQ on it, they can't really evade the EQ with any mortar positioning, and they still have to spend something else to fully counter your Hog Rider. So it is usually going to be pretty good for you, and you kind of just have to make sure you play a really tight defense and just like chip away with your earthquakes and all of that stuff. And looks like he does have Giant Skeleton here too, so you can see like top ladder is kind of just being really Giant Skeleton heavy in this meta. And yeah, I think our Giant Skeleton Bomb should do pretty good against this Queen right here. Just going to kind of knock it back quite a bit, and Snowball will finish it off before he even had the chance to fully activate his ability. So yeah, really good for us right here. And now we do have Earthquake ready, so just going to go with an Earthquake right here. He's actually going to kind of evade our Earthquake right there by going with like a smart set of skeletons, but we're going to get the King activation right there off of his mortar. So yeah, looking really nice right here. Just going to go with a Fire Spirit just to make sure we chip away and or like force him to spend something awkward, but looks like he's just going to take the damage right here. So yeah, looking really good. And just going to Snowball right here on his Miner, but he does actually go with it in that position. Not really sure why he would have went with it in that position instead of the safe spot, since we do have our King Tower activated, but not really too bad for us either way, even though we kind of just wasted a Snowball there. I kind of just wanted to use it just to make sure that we cycled pretty quickly just to get back to our other cards. And yeah, Cannon is actually going to fully counter his mortar, even though he spent the fire spirit right there. So looking pretty nice right now. Just going to go with the high musketeer here, and kind of messed up the musketeer placement, unfortunately, on his archer. Because I meant to go with like one more tile towards the right of the arena, just to like make him use an early ability. But you can say sometimes even top players make funny mistakes like I just did right there. But we should be pretty okay right here. Just going to kind of go with the hog right here, and also maybe an earthquake, but I don't think he's going to go with a mortar, so it's probably not worth it. But just to kill these guards, I'll go with an earthquake. And yeah, and by the way guys, sorry for if there's any background noise. It is a bit loud in my house right now, but you know, just working with what I got right here. And by the way guys, I'm going to start doing daily uploads now. I did just like finish school, like I think I said it in the last video already, but I already got my final grades in, so should be having quite a lot more time. I do still have like a couple or like a few days before I graduate. I think I'm going to graduate on Tuesday, so I do still have a few more days where I'm going to kind of be finalizing certain stuff, but I do not have like any more school assignments or anything like that. And I'm just going to go with a mortar, I mean like a giant skeleton hog right there, and he's going to respond with a mortar right here, but I think he might need something else to stop our hog right there. He's going to, okay, I was going to say if it got a shot right there against two giant skeletons, but it just barely was stopped right there. But yeah, looking really good in this match so far. Pretty much always in control, and you can see like we're just using our cards really smartly and also getting like quite a lot of value out of our giant skeleton. And he's gonna miss the log right there, so that will be a good game. And thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.